How you guys doing? Good night. Happy Sunday. This is Captain Dylan Hubbard here live with our Sunday night fishing show from our Hubbard's Marina fishing studios. Want to talk to you tonight a little bit about some fishing tips and tricks, give you a little bit of techniques to help you catch more fish and answer some questions. Stay tuned. We're going to get started here shortly. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We're going to be starting up here in another few minutes once we get this thing rolling. If you're not watching this live, you can always go ahead and skip forward to where you see the video start. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, happy Sunday night. Happy Sunday night, guys. Captain Dylan Hubbard here, coming to you live, telling you a little bit about some fishing tips and tricks. Stay tuned for this video if you want tons of fishing information, nearshore and offshore tips, tricks, and more. We're going to be talking a little bit about everything offshore and nearshore fishing related, giving you tons of information at Hubbard's Marina, tons of information on tips, tricks, and more. And we're going to be getting started here in a few minutes. If you're watching this live, go ahead and share this with your friends, share it on your timeline, your favorite fishing club. Show me that you love our fishing show, and click like if you enjoy these live stream shows. If you're not watching this live, go ahead and skip forward to where you see the video start. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Remember, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. Thanks for tuning in, and we're going to get started here very shortly. Hopefully you guys have some questions ready, and hopefully you're ready for a good night of fishing tips and tricks. Got a lot of information here tonight, and I look forward to giving you guys all the answers you're looking for on all the different questions you guys might have. Again, if you're not watching this live, go ahead and skip forward to where you see the video start. If you are watching this live, just give me a few moments here, and we'll get rolling here very shortly. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. Another beautiful day here inside John's Pass. I hope you guys had a good day as well. Just getting the video shared to our other pages here, and we'll get rolling. Remember, if you're watching this live, to give me the thumbs up if you can hear me loud and clear, and share it to your timeline. I'd greatly appreciate it. Click like if you love fishing. Hopefully everybody watching loves fishing. I know I do. Saul, you haven't seen nothing. I type like the wind, dog. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Just give us a few minutes and we'll get rolling. I appreciate y'all watching. Hopefully you guys have some good questions ready tonight. Unfortunately, couldn't get a guest to join me, but we will be having that option here soon. So, unfortunately, Captain Anthony, his kids aren't feeling well, and family first, right? So we'll get those. We'll get some more guests for you guys next week. Hopefully, Captain Anthony will be able to join us next week. Working on Captain Garrett, Captain Joe, and a few others. So these fishing shows are only going to get better and better. So definitely stay tuned. Again, guys, if you're watching this live, we're going to get rolling here in just a few seconds. I appreciate your patience. All right, guys, how you doing tonight? Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for bearing with me as we got rolling there. And yes, Saul, I do type pretty quickly, but I got to be going fast to get to you guys fast. So I appreciate y'all bearing with me. So tonight, obviously, don't have a guest with me like we did last week, but we're looking forward to next week, hopefully bringing another guest on for you guys. I know it kind of brought a little bit of an edge to these shows, so definitely going to keep doing that for you guys. It seemed like you really enjoyed it. I can get a little boring, I know. So thanks for watching, even though it's just me. We're going to do the same thing that we always do. We're going to go over what we caught this weekend. We had a 39-hour trip come in this morning. Had a killer catch of fish. We're going to talk about some of those fish, talk about how you can catch them. We're going to give you a red tide report. We're going to go over some fishing reports, some tips, tricks, and then we're going to get into your questions, guys. So thanks for watching. And I do have a lot of website changes that I wanted to show off to you guys. We are really putting a lot of time into our website with a lot more information, kind of enhancing the website. So far, we've done the 5 and the 10-hour page, and we're going to be working on some other pages as well. So definitely excited to show you some of that information. But first things first, let's see what we caught on this 39-hour trip. Going to take you through it here. Definitely more of the same with the gag grouper biting well at night. The gag grouper bite at night seems to be going a lot better than during the day for some reason. They're loving those live pinfish and those big old live pigfish. Pigfish seems to be a really good bait right now. Something about that grunt and action on the bottom just seems to have these gags fired up. Definitely a good thing to see the big gags feeding well. Nice big old Margate there. Some I like his shirt, Bass Pro Shops. Hey, so good eating there. I love those fish. The ever-present American red snapper, all elusive. This is before the trip got underway. We always do our pre-boarding seminar. The cool thing about fishing with us at Hubbard's Marina is you get a seminar before you leave, tell you a little bit more about the boarding process. You get a safety seminar, and then you also get a fishing seminar. So we do a lot of educating. I had someone tell me that we do a little bit too much educating sometimes, and maybe I'm guilty of that, obviously, with this show tonight. Doing a lot of educating. Hopefully you guys get a lot out of it. Hopefully you enjoy it. This is Will on our fishing seminar showing off that double snell rig and how to prepare that bait. This is what I've talked about in a lot of live shows where we cut the head, cut the tail, and trim the belly on that thread fin to make it the ultimate snapper bait. Trimming that belly cavity, it releases a lot of extra smell and scent into the water. And when you trim the tail, that prevents the bait from spinning. You trim the head, and it gives you a nice sardine or a nice thread fin plug. Wherever that fish bites, he's going to get meat. And with that double snell rig, wherever that fish bites, he's going to get a hook in his mouth. So that double snell rig is a dangerously deadly rig for those snapper fish, snapper species, if you will. And I really enjoy using that double snell rig. It's a great option. Another big old gag caught at night. Double gag from Mr. John Martin. Now, his first bait in the water was a keeper mutton, followed by 2 keeper gags. So, needless to say, this 39-hour trip started off with a bang. Some nice mangroves, some big gags, mangrove snapper, yellowtail snapper really fired off for us at night, which was cool to see. Some more big African pompanos. I love those African pompanos. If you haven't caught one of those, They're very, very unique. We seem to catch them a lot when we're targeting amberjack over some large structure. I always notice the African pompanos seem to bite up off the bottom. A lot of people ask me how you could target African pompano. Well, we catch them a lot of times on vertical jigs. We've got some really unique slow pitch vertical jigs coming into our shop. They're going to be a little bit pricey. They're very unique. They're straight from Japan. Actually has Japanese writing on these packages. That's how legit these slow pitch jigs are that we're going to get into our shop. So we're really excited to bring Sea Falcon. Again, that's sea as in the sea and falcon like the bird. So there's Sea Falcon slow pitch jigs coming into the shop here soon. We're going to bring in a larger selection of slow pitch jigs to catch more of these African pompano and some other variety of species. But back to what I was talking about, these African pompano, they seem to hang up off the bottom on this large structure, especially artificial structure. And a lot of times I'll catch African pompano by mistake. For example, the one time I kind of happened across this, it was probably about 2.5 years ago. I was running a 12-hour night snapper trip, and we were sitting on a big wreck offshore in about 130 foot of water, catching the snot out of some big monster yellowtail snapper, mangrove snapper, and a few mutton snapper. And I was fishing next to a client. He hooked a fish, so I cranked up off the bottom about 30 feet, put my rod in a rod holder, turned around, unhooked his fish. By the time I had turned back to my rod tip was doubled over with the fish on. I grabbed the rod, cranked it up, and sure enough, it was an African pompano caught up off the bottom on a mangrove snapper, double-snelled threadfin herring. So I dropped back down, did the same thing, cranked up about 10 times, which with that reel I was using was probably about 30, 40 feet off the bottom, and sat there, and sure enough, bang, bang, set the hook, reeled it up. It was another African pompano. So I had everybody on the boat, all the clients on board, do the same thing. Drop to the bottom, reel up off the bottom, and sure enough, rod, all African pompano. So they seem to hang up off the bottom. So those slow pitch vertical jigs seem to work really well. Or just simply cranking up off the bottom on those wrecks and artificial structure and large structure that's holding those African pompano. More common down to the southwest, around the elbow and south of the elbow. We see them in the grounds and around the grounds and east of the grounds a lot of times. So they're kind of spread throughout our fishing area, but very unique fish, very good to eat. However, you're only allowed 2 per boat, so not able to take many of those guys home, but they're very good to eat. Nice big amberjack. We had a good push of amberjack on this trip. Always the elusive American red snapper. Anybody can name that fish? And let's see, I'm going to scroll down the comments, see if anybody watching can name that fish. Come on, guys. Anybody out there, can you name it? I don't know. While we're waiting here, guys, see if someone can name that fish. We make sure, if you can, to comment what kind of fish, or excuse me, tell me what kind of fish this is if you can, and comment where you're watching from. Remember to give the video a like if you enjoy these live streams. On Facebook, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me loud and clear, and hopefully, oh, we got some new comments. Oh, no, it's not a vermilion, Kathy and Kyle. Good guess. It looks very similar to a vermilion, but not a vermilion. Very good eating fish. Fairly rarely caught. Not a beeliner, not a vermilion. There it is. Walter Nolan hit it on the head. That's a Creole. Pretty unique fish, to say the least. That's a Creole fish. Old Richie rocking that Windu. Nice big old red grouper during the day. The red grouper have been around, but it's a little hit and miss. They're a very picky fish right now. We're kind of stumbling across a few of them out in that deeper water. Seem to be catching more of those red grouper out in the deeper water, to say the least, for sure. No, guys, it was a Creole fish. Some guys are still guessing here. Creole fish. Mr. Walter Nolan got that correct. Good guess, Walter, but I know that wasn't a guess. I know you know your fish. Nice kingfish on the troll. Seeing kingfish offshore. We're not seeing kingfish near shore quite yet, but the kingfish are definitely out there in the deeper waters. No real big size lately, but I have a feeling as the next couple weeks progress, we'll see those kingfish come closer to shore, and we'll see some larger kingfish start hanging around. Kingfish tournament season is right around the corner, so I'm sure those tournament boys are trying to find those big kingfish. Look at that rod doubled over. Nice big old amberjack. Great push of amberjack during the day. There's the catch. It was a little slow, it was a little picky, but ended up with a good catch of fish. It was a good time had by all, to say the least. It was good to see the FWC guys come out and go fishing on their day off. That's one of the FWC port samplers right there. Captain Dave behind him. This is one of our new captains got coming onto the scene. He's going to be doing some all-day trips with us and doing some of our long-range private charters as well. So got some new stuff in the works, guys. Definitely some exciting things coming up at Hubbard's Marina. Hopefully you enjoyed those photos from our 39-hour trip. I wanted to show off the morning half-day catch today, but I can't seem to get it to come up on my computer, unfortunately. Dusty Peterson from the Smokey and Dusty show took some great photos as our half-day trip unloaded. We have some red tide off our coast. There's no dead fish in Johns Pass. There's no dead fish on the beach. We're still snorkeling down at Egmont Key. The waters on our beaches and around our islands are beautiful, so it's a great time to get out and enjoy the water. However, when you go offshore, anywhere from about 2 to 3 miles from shore, all the way out to about 8 to 10 miles from shore, there are some areas of dead fish spotty near our shore. We haven't lost any live bait, so there's no real thick areas of red tide, but we are seeing the dead fish. But it's very spotty, and we're only seeing them when we're heading offshore. And when we start fishing, they're not in our fishing areas. It has not affected our fishing. So we're doing really, really well while fishing. Even our nearshore trips, Captain Joe Drew was out on the Florida today doing a half-day fishing trip, and he ran up to the northwest area, and then he ran west. And from directly west of Johns Pass all the way north off of Clearwater, it's the same thing. Those fish are 2 to 3 miles from shore, all the way out to about 8 to 10 miles from shore. We're seeing pockets of smaller dead fish, but most of them look pretty old. I still think a lot of those things are getting pushed up from the south. And just sitting out there, and unfortunately, because they're not washing up on the beach, they're not getting cleaned up, but we are not seeing big pockets of red tide to kill our fish in the live wells, and we're still catching plenty of fish. The half day was only about 10 miles from shore, just on the outside of that area of dead fish, and the bite was really good this morning. We're still picking at the hogfish near shore. Offshore, we're still seeing the red grouper picky during the day. At night, the gag bite's going well. We're picking a few gags during the day. Amberjack bite's going very well. We're seeing some pelagics around, mostly the smaller kingfish out in the offshore waters. We're seeing some tuna as well, and we're doing pretty well out there, guys. It's a great time to go out and enjoy some fishing. The loads are super light. Someone asked already in the comments, I noticed someone was asking about the half-price trips. Every off-season, we do offer some discounted trips, and most likely we are going to have some of those half-price specials on our 5 and 10-hour trips coming up soon. Now, we don't have any specials on our 12-hour extreme trips or any specialty trips, so no 12-hour, 39 or 44-hour discounts, but a lot of times in our slower time of year, we will offer discounts on our day trips, our 5 and 10 hours, and even our dolphin watching trips. So stay tuned to your emails from Hubbard's Marina. If you're on our newsletter list, you have a great kind of intro to getting that coupon before anybody else. If you're not on our newsletter list, it's really easy to join. all you do is go to hubbardsmarina.com. So just pull up our website on our homepage or on any page you're on. No matter what page of our website you're looking at, you can scroll down to the bottom right hand side on the newsletter sign up. Just put, don't want to give anybody's email away. Just put in your email right on the bottom right-hand corner of our our website, and that'll pop you onto the newsletter list. I send out a newsletter every Friday with fishing reports, coupons, event updates, what's coming up at Hubbard's Marina, our dolphin report, our water taxi news, a bunch of information in that newsletter. Plus, there's always a coupon at the bottom of the email newsletter. And we do a email newsletter reminder of our events like our fishing shows, our Bass Pro seminars, and we're going to have special half-price coupons coming out soon. So definitely get on that newsletter list if you're not already. And I wanted to show you real quickly some of the website changes. I noticed someone mentioned or asked when we're going to update our website, and you can see here that I have spent a lot of time beefing up the information and even added photos with descriptions on our 5 and 10 hour pages. So definitely check out the 5-hour page. Let me know how you like all this increased information. It is very thorough. Tons of information there, guys. So hopefully you enjoy the website changes. Spent a lot of time on our 5 and 10 hour page so far. So I look forward to moving through our 12-hour trips, our 39-hour trips, and really add a ton of information to that website, including a lot of tackle recommendations, etc. So hopefully you like it. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to post your questions in the comments. I'm going to start rolling on some of these questions we got coming in here, guys. If you're watching the video live, please comment where you're watching from and comment with any questions you might have. Click like if you're enjoying the video so far. And let's get rolling on some fishing tips. First question. Gustavo Perez Juca says, does Hubbard's Marina ever put together an employee team for King of the Beach? I assume he means. Occasionally we do put together some teams for fishing tournaments. We used to do it a lot for the ladies Let's Go Fishing events and the Old Salts ladies tournaments, because we had a ladies fishing team, embarrassingly called the Hubbard's Hookers. That's since been disbanded because the employees that used to be on that team left us. But we have put together employee teams in the past. Nowadays, we're pretty blessed to be busy, and unfortunately, King of the Beach always kind of falls in a tough time of year in March when we're super slammed and we have charters. But you're always able to book our boat and put us in the tournament, and we'd be more than happy to fish the tournament for you on a private charter. But typically, we reserve our fishing boats for private charters. And if a client wants the boat, he's going to get the boat. Unfortunately, our employees, myself included, we use the boats when they're not being used by you guys. So I have enjoyed slowing down a little bit and getting a chance to use the boats for some pleasure. It's always fun taking the wife and taking her family out fishing. Captain Steve Pappin, what's up, buddy? I will see you Tuesday. This Tuesday, we have the participatory Red Grouper Workshop. If you're a captain watching this video and you're interested in getting involved in CDAR 61, which is the Red Grouper Stock Assessment, there's a participatory workshop coming up this Tuesday. You can email me for the information. Any local charter captain or private recreational angler, or really anybody who's invested in our local fisheries, interested in speaking up on some educated ideas of what's going on with the red grouper. They claim there's this huge problem with red grouper, and the NOAA National Marine Fisheries and the Southeast Science Center employees want to hear from us, want to hear from the fishermen. And I worked with a lady named Mandy from Southeast Fisheries Science Center, and we put together this workshop. And it's basically a bunch of fishermen going to get in a room and tell the stock assessment scientists what we feel is going on with the red grouper. So if you got a lot of experience, if you've been fishing our local waters 15, 20, 30 plus years, shoot me an email. I'd love to get you involved this Tuesday, September 4th. For that participatory red grouper workshop. It's going to go into the data workshop for the CDAR 61, which is coming up September 11th through 13th. Right here in Tampa Bay is the data workshop. So looking forward to that. But enough about that boring stuff. Let's see if we got another question here. Kyle Gentry said, I was told the kingfish don't hold well on the 39-hour trip. Typically, yes, Kyle, we do use kingfish and mackerel as bait on our 39-hour trips, just because after 39 hours on ice, especially some of the first fish that are caught on a 39-hour are at the bottom of the fish box, and then we pile a bunch of ice on top of it, so that's a lot of weight. And those kingfish and mackerel have very oily, soft meat, and typically by the end of the trip they get a little bit mushy. That's why we've created a brine cooler that we keep upstairs, or a kingfish cooler, and a lot of times we'll have that cooler available. So if you want your kingfish for food, you can always keep it in that cooler upstairs, or you could throw it in the fish box and use it for bait. It's up to you. Typically, most of the mackerel are used for bait. Bonita are used for bait. But occasionally, people do want to keep theirs, and we're more than happy to brine your fish upstairs as well. So there's a lot of options for you, Kyle, if you want to keep your kingfish a little nicer through the trip. But it is a 39-hour trip, and fish are on ice for the entire trip. But just because a fish is on ice does not mean that it's going to be 100%, especially a fish like a kingfish that does not hold very well. Grouper, snapper, amberjack, they hold great. I just ate an amberjack today for lunch. One of the guests gifted their amberjacks to me, and I fed our office with some fresh amberjack off our 39-hour trip. So shout out to you, Joe May, for donating one of your amberjack to the office this morning. That was a good lunch. Philip Burtis said, what is the latest on the new rods? Well, I don't know if I can show you this or how well it's going to come out, but Dustin Phillips from Bull Bay Rods sent me a video. Oh, there it is. They are very close to having our, oh, it's going to be upside down. They're very close to having our, it's not going to come out very well. You can't really see it. Oh, there it is. Basically, the rods are almost complete. They got their logo in it. They got our logo in it. The eyes are set. The reel seats are set. So we're really close to getting those new rods in. Philip, we're really excited. Bull Bay Rods has really outdone themselves. We're going to have a grouper rod, a snapper rod, a jigging rod, and then those are all conventionals. And then we're going to have a hogfish rod and a little bit stiffer snapper grouper rod. And those hogfish rod, that snapper grouper rod, flatline rod are both going to be spinning rods. So we're going to have two types of spinning rods, two types of conventional rods, and a third conventional rod that's going to be a jigging rod. So a total of 5 new setups coming very soon. We've got a bunch of Daiwa Saltiga LD50s and a bunch of Daiwa Saltist LD50s. Both of those are 2-speeds, so a killer reel with a beautiful rod, and we've got new slow pitch jigs coming in from Sea Falcon. We've got some really sick new stuff coming very soon in our Hubbard's Marina Tackle Shop, so definitely stay tuned, and thanks for asking about that, Philip. Chris Lewis said, any seats open for the full moon, October, November? We do have a full moon 44-hour trip in October. There is 1 or 2 spots open, but that's about it. There are no full moon trips in November or December. Once the months get a little bit cooler, we don't offer those night snapper type of trips. We just do our 39 hours. We've got 39 hours in November, and the last two have tons of room on them, Philip. So if you want to get out there and enjoy some full moon 39-hour action, the end of November, we have some light loads for you if you want to join us. But it's not that full moon night snapper trip, and it's not a full moon 44-hour. But we do have full moon 39 hours at the end of November, early December. Brian Dissinger said, is it still safe to catch fish even 10 miles from the red tide? Got that question a lot. There's been a lot on the news about making fish toxic to eat. And that is only in my opinion, kind of a rumor, because I've been eating fish out of the red tide for a long time, but apparently there's science behind it. But I don't know. I've always eaten fish in red tide and never had a problem. But the scientists say only if you disturb the internal organs. So it's not actually the meat that gets the toxins; it's what the fish eat, and it affects their guts. So as long as you're not puncturing the belly cavity, you're fine. I had, again, like I said, I had fish for lunch today. Those were offshore fish, granted, but I also had some gray snapper or white grunts for lunch yesterday. So we've been eating fish like crazy, and I have not had any issues. So Brian Dissinger, yes, in my opinion, the fish are still plenty safe. I've been eating them like crazy, and I think I'm okay. I don't know. If you ask my wife, I'm not okay, but that's a whole nother story. Let's see here. Jeff Wiggins, I would love to. I haven't had a chance to call you back, brother. I am super swamped at work lately, so I apologize for that delay, Jeff Wiggins, but I'm definitely going to follow up with you. Would love to try some of that salmon and halibut you offered. Frank Sarcone said, can you still catch pinfish close to shore with a sabiki or throwing a net? We have been catching pinfish in our pinfish traps near shore. The pinfish fishing in the traps have been a little bit tough with the red tide off our coast. But we, again, are very, very patchy areas. We're not having a lot of fish kill. We're not having any dead fish in Johns Pass. No dead fish in the beaches. So our water is really clear on our beach, in our pass. Off the coast, though, there's some spotty areas, but we're still catching plenty of live bait. We're still able to bring that live bait offshore and catch these big amberjacks and gag grouper that I showed you earlier. So yes, you can still catch plenty of pinfish inside Johns Pass with the sabiki rig. A lot of guys are out there doing it right now, catching snook. Snook season is open. I would encourage everybody not to keep any snook. Right now, we've had a huge hit to the snook fishery, the redfish. They actually closed redfish and snook for harvest from North Anna Maria Island all the way south to Everglades area. So they did that for a reason, guys. There's an issue going on for sure. So unfortunately, that is an issue. But we're hoping that everybody kind of comes together and gives those snook and redfish a break. And if you want, you can give the mangrove snapper a break too. Let them get big and swim offshore for me. I'd appreciate it. Unfortunately, a lot of guides are not keeping snook and redfish now, and now they're focusing more on the mangrove snapper. So that could cause a whole nother litany of issues further down the road. So lay off the snook, redfish, and mangrove snapper for me. It's sheep's head time. Go get yourself some sheep's head. The sheep's head are definitely starting to show up inside Johns Pass. For sheep's head fishing, as the water cools down, sheep's head fishing gets better and better and better. A little 20-pound fluorocarbon leader, a split shot, or even a free line bait. What's really cool about sheep's head is you can target a sheep's head a lot like you would target a hogfish offshore. Very light lead, very light leader, light tackle, and you kind of almost, you could use a very light knocker rig just like you do for hogfish. Fiddler crabs are a great bait for sheep's head, just like they are for hogfish. But for sheep's head, you're using a little bit smaller hook, typically like a 2-aught or 3-aught hook, where for hogfish, I'd be using more like a 4-aught hook, because sheep's head have a very small mouth. But the 20-pound fluorocarbon, a little split shot, or a super small egg sinker, kind of floated down right next to the structure. The bridges, the jetties, the docks are all holding sheep's head right now. And they're only getting bigger and bigger and bigger as the water cools down. So definitely time to target some sheep's head. Those fiddler crabs make a great sheep's head bait as well. So hopefully that answered your question there about the sheep's head. Again, guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. If you're just tuning in now, this is our Sunday night live fishing show. We do it every Sunday night, and a lot of times we'll have guests on here. Unfortunately, couldn't get anybody to join me tonight. I'm a little lonely right now, but we will have guests moving forward. If you're tuning in for the first time, guys, drop your questions in the comments. And if you're watching, please click like on the video if you're enjoying it. And if you love fishing, and share it with your friends, I'd appreciate it. We're going to keep going down the questions. We got some questions here from YouTube. Robert Eaton said, hopefully the tropical depression that's headed our way may help with this red tide. Amen to that, Robert. Really kind of strange for us to all be hoping for a tropical depression or tropical storm, but it is one of those times where we're all kind of hoping and praying we get some big storm action to break up this red tide and finally put an end to this chaos that's been going on in our fishery this year. But one big thing I ask all of you is, we're also worried about this red tide and the blue-green algae and the brown algae. Well, these algae and these algal blooms are going to happen again unless we fix the problem. The problems down in Lake Okeechobee with the blue-green algae, that's one problem. The red tide along our coast is a naturally occurring organism, but it's being fueled by the issues that are happening in our municipalities. These sewage overflows, these sewage lines breaking, just the rampant agricultural pollution, the over use of nitrogen pesticide or nitrogen fertilizers in residential neighborhoods is just insane. So we all got to kind of work together. This is a very complex problem with a complex solution. No one person caused this. No one political party caused this. We all got to work together. There's a lot of short-term solutions we can do, but there's a lot of long-term solutions that need to be enacted too. So definitely a big issue we have in front of us, and hopefully we can all figure it out. Because what I don't want to see happen, Robert, is this big tropical depression come through, break up all the red tide, fix all our problems, and then everybody forgets about it. And water gets cold, all these algae blooms end, and next spring we're going to be in the same boat unless all these problems are addressed. The city of St. Petersburg, the city of Reddington Beach, multiple cities on the southwest Florida coast have been guilty of dumping raw sewage into our bays, our estuaries, and along our coasts, and it cannot be allowed to continue. We all have to hold these municipalities accountable by reaching out to our congressional representatives, our senators, our city councils, and we all got to work together to try to address these issues. So thanks for getting me started, Robert. Let's see what other questions we have here. Albert JG said, what size and type of hooks for our 39-hour trip? Well, Albert, there's a variety of types of tackle you might want for a 39-hour trip. As I showed you before, we're really putting a lot of time and information on our website. The 39-hour page I wrote myself. All the pages on our website I wrote myself, so I'm really trying to beef up some of that information we do have on our website. But to answer your question, Albert, Albert, I typically would bring 3 to 4 rods on a 39-hour trip. Typically, I would bring a snapper fishing setup, a red grouper, small gag grouper setup, and then a larger gag grouper amberjack setup, maybe a trolling rod and reel, and maybe a pitch bait or a flatline rod. For my snapper rod, I'm going to be using about 5 to 6/0 hooks on a 39-hour trip. Typically 6/0 hooks with 60-pound fluorocarbon this time of year with the gag grouper open. You can get away with 50-pound fluorocarbon as well when gags aren't open and they aren't slamming the baits at night. You could get away with 40-pound fluorocarbon, but those 6/0 hooks seem to work very well. Double snell rig is mandatory for 39-hour fishing at night, especially for those quick biting mangrove snapper. And for my middle of the road red grouper, gag grouper setup, typically I'd be using around, let's say, 7 to 8/0 hooks. Typically for that would be a single hook that I'm using with live bait, or if I'm using a large piece of dead bait, a lot of times I'll do a double snell rig there too, and the bottom hook being that larger 7/8 hook, and I might be using like a 5 or 6/0 hook on the top. That way I can have that large hook for that grouper that's going to bite that bottom hook, and that top hook would be a little bit smaller, which gives me a shot at some of those quicker biting fish that might be biting that bait. Especially those squid strips when I'm fishing on a 10-hour all day, or I'm fishing on a 39-hour trip with the large squid strip for red grouper. That 7/8 hook on the bottom, that 5 to 6/0 hook on the top on the double snell rig seems to be a deadly setup. For my larger setup, that large gag grouper amberjack setup, typically a 10 to 12/0 hook, 100 to 125 pound leader is kind of my go-to there, Albert. And hopefully that gives you a starting spot, Albert. But again, on our website, let me show you real quick. On our website, you can go to fishing tips or hubbardsmarina.com, go to fishing trips, and click that 39-hour page. On every single one of our fishing pages, we've got a tackle suggestion, recommended tackle. And on our 39-hour page, we have this how to pack for a 39-hour. This is a 25-minute video that literally goes through all the ins and outs of our 39-hour trip and what to bring on it, Albert. So I'd highly recommend checking that out if you haven't already. Bruce Rosen said, just walked into Dead Bob's and I can't hear. Sorry about that, Bruce. Dead Bob's is a great place. Enjoy the cheeseburger egg rolls are killer at Dead Bob's. For those of you who don't know, Dead Bob's is a little local spot right there on Central Avenue, and like Central Avenue and Pasadena Avenue, where 66 and Pasadena meet right there on Central. It's just east of the Checkers, across from that health food shopping center. Dead Bob's is incredible. Great burgers at that place for sure. So thanks for watching, Bruce. Let's see here. Robert Eaton said, can you talk a little bit about the club membership y'all have? Our Regulars Club is a great way for you guys to get discounts on our fishing trips. We'll be starting Regulars Club signups for 2019 sometime around early November 2018. If you're interested in joining the Regulars Club or learning more about it, you can shoot me an email. The easiest email to reach me at is just simply info or info@hubbardsmarina.com, and I'll send you all the information on our Regulars Club. Basically how it works is you pay a little bit of money to join our Regulars Club, and you get set discounts on the trip. For example, on our 39-hour trip, you can like earn over up to $100 off. On our half day and all day trips, it's 50% off. On our longer trips, it's 30% off. But it's not a discount program. It's a loyalty program. So you got to go fishing 10, 15, 20 times a year or more to qualify. And that's going to make it more affordable for you to go fishing more often. So again, not a discount program. It's a loyalty program. It rewards you for going fishing a lot and makes it cheaper for you to go fishing even more. So for more information on the Regulars Club, you can email me again at info@hubbardsmarina.com, and I'll send you the information, and I'll put your name, phone number, email on our waiting list for 2019 signups, because those won't begin until around early November. So thanks for the question, Albert, or Robert Eaton, excuse me. Smokey and Dusty Show said they crushed the fish on the 5-hour half day today. They really did. Cam Joe Drew really put them on the fish this morning. Just an awesome showing on the half day fishing trip today. A lot of big gray snapper or white grunts out there. The fishing is great on all of our trips. Red tide is unaffecting our ability to catch fish and bring fish in and eat our fish. And it has not affected our ability to get live bait offshore as well. So great time to come out and join us. I mean, so light. This afternoon, we had 15 people on the half day. Tomorrow, we have 18 people on the half day. We are carrying absolutely nobody on these fishing trips, on our dolphin trips, on our shelling trips. If you're a local and you want to get out there and enjoy some time on the water, now is the time to do it. There is no one here. And then come spring break, or come the week between Christmas and New Year's, or come red snapper season, people are always saying, well, it's so busy. The boats are so full. This is the time of year to go. If you don't like fishing with the crowd, now is the time. I'm begging you, come join us and take advantage of this great fishing we have going on right now. Michael Kane asked, can you rent a rod on a 39-hour trip? You can rent a rod on every single one of our fishing trips here at Hubbard's Marina, except for our 63-hour trip where we don't offer rod rentals. Our private charters, you don't have to rent a rod on a private charter. We supply all your rods, reels, tackle, all included in the private charter price. Don't forget about our 4 private charter boats. We can accommodate any size group for whatever swims in the Gulf on a private charter. Excuse me. On our public party boat trips, we do offer rod rentals on all those options. The party boats are kind of more a la carte. You can bring it all yourself, or you can have us supply it all for you for a little bit higher price. The private charters are kind of more all-inclusive. We cater to you, wait on you hand and foot. It's just you and your group on the boat. You can customize it. You tell us what you want. You tell us what you want to catch. You tell us when you want to leave, how long you want to go, and we make it happen for you. So there's kind of a difference there. Obviously, the private charters is one person, one group, and that one person who charters the boat decides who goes. The party boats, you can book it by yourself, you can book it with a group, and then we kind of put other people on board for you. Don't forget about the split charter option on our 12-hour extreme trip. That's basically a 12-hour private charter on the Flying Hub 2. But we put other people on board for you. So if you're looking for a split charter, the 12-hour extreme is a great option, and that has super light loads on it this time of year as well. So great options all over the board. Let's see if we have any questions. HDK said, when is your next fishing seminar? We do one of them every night, every Sunday night, right here live on our Facebook and YouTube pages. But we do have another Bass Pro Shop seminar coming up in October. That date is getting finalized now with Bass Pro Shops Corporate. Once Bass Pro Shops Corporate tells me what date that seminar is, I gave them a few options. I'll be announcing that. So thanks for your interest there, HDK. And we'll definitely let you know when our next Bass Pro Shop seminar is. But you can always tune in Sunday night here live at 8:30 p.m. every Sunday night on Facebook or YouTube. And we're going to be giving away some free trips right here live coming soon. We're working with our mad scientist. We're going to be adding a little spinning wheel here right in the bottom corner of the screen, and I'll be able to click a button and it will pick one of the live viewers either from Facebook or YouTube to win something free. So definitely stay tuned if you're interested in winning some free fishing trips. We not only are going to do those at our Bass Pro Shop seminar like always, we're going to start doing those on our live videos as well. So great options for you. Again, if you enjoy these live shows, make sure you click like or give me a thumbs up on the video. Let's see. Greg Kane said, is there a 39-hour trip scheduled to leave on Sunday, September 15th? Well, we don't have any 39-hour trips on Sundays any time of year, Greg, except for red snapper season. During red snapper season is the only time of year we have public 39-hour trips leaving on Sundays. Typically, we reserve Sundays for private charter 39-hour trips. So we don't have any 39-hour trips scheduled in September really at all because of dry dock. We are doing our last, or actually our last 39-hour came in this morning. We won't do another one until mid-October. We got a few 39 hours in October. We've got a 44-hour in October, and then November 1st we have a 63-hour, and we have tons of other 39 hours in November with plenty of room on them if you want to book one of those. Let's see what other questions we have. Greg Carr said, family in town this week. Do you think you'll run the half days? We have half days every single day, Greg. We're catching tons of fish. Definitely come out and bring your family for some half-day fishing fun with us at Hubbard's Marina, Greg. We look forward to having you guys. Like Smokey and Dusty Show said earlier, the fishing is awesome right now. Captain Martinez said Key West snapper. That's only what tourists think sound better. No, actually, let me tell a story here. A lot of people make fun of us for calling them Key West snapper, or Key West grunts, or gray snapper. But these fish right here, let me show you real quick. I'm going to pull it up so we can tell the story with the... I get really, really sick and tired of hearing that. We're not in this to trick tourists, guys. I mean, we're family owned and operated. We're here to make sure that we create memories like this, getting kids hooked on fishing. And I'm so sick of hearing that we're in it to trick tourists into thinking that these fish are good to eat. First of all, these fish are one of the best eaten fish out there. Second of all, they're called gray snapper because of my grandfather back in the 70s and 80s when we were able to sell fish legally. Everybody wanted to buy grouper or mangrove snapper. They didn't want to buy grunts. These are called, scientific name, white grunt. A lot of people call them Key West grunts. You're wrong too. So don't make fun of me for calling them a gray snapper when you don't even call them the right name, bud. But oh man, I'm getting worked up. So basically, my grandfather used to sell fish. It was legal, and back in the 70s and early 80s, and no one wanted to buy a white grunt. They always wanted to buy a mangrove snapper or grouper, whereas these white grunts, what we call gray snapper, were left on the table. So one day he sold out a mangrove snapper and grouper early, and he called these guys a gray snapper. Well, those sold out. Those same people came back the next day and said, those were the best eaten fish I've ever had. Let me buy some more of those. So forever they've been called gray snapper, not because we're in the game to trick people. As you see right here, we say gray snapper or white grunt. So we're not in it to trick people. We're not in it to make it sound better. We're in it to just simply honor our family heritage. We've been doing this 90 years and 4 generations. We made up the name gray snapper. My grandfather coined that term, and we're not here to trick people. So obviously kind of a hot button issue for me, as you can tell. But what gets me is people will make fun of us for calling those gray snapper and say we're trying to trick tourists. But what are we doing this video for? Why do we have 6-page thing on our website where we explain multiple times about gray snapper versus white grunt? We're not in this to trick people. We're in this to take people out fishing, teach people more about fishing, and get them hooked on fishing too. And some of the most experienced anglers that poke fun at us for calling them gray snapper, they're the ones calling them mangrove snapper. Well, guess what? It's not a mangrove snapper. And guess what? That squirrel fish that you have in your live well is a sand perch, not a mangrove, not a squirrel fish. And that hognose snapper that you're catching, that's a wrasse, not a snapper. So every fisherman does that. And that's enough about that. There is a 10-hour trip on every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, Devon, Ferrente, except for during our dry dock season. Then we're only going to have 5-hour half days. We'll have some 12-hour night snappers. We'll have some all-day private charters options, but just got half days during our dry dock period. Unfortunately, we're going to be spending a lot of time, money, and energy fixing up these boats and making them nice for you. They're redoing the deck on the Florida Fisherman. It's going to be gorgeous, and it's going to be really, really nice. Again, the Florida is going to be out of service from the day after Labor Day. It's getting pulled out of the water Tuesday. It's going to go back into the water sometime early October, and we'll be back into service around mid-October, barring any type of unforeseen issues. But we've got a really, really exciting 39-hour schedule for the end of October. So we're going to be working very hard day and night. Our captains and crew, we have such a great team of guys and great team of people in the office. We're going to all work very hard to make sure that boat's back in time for you guys. So thank you all for tuning in tonight. I hope you're enjoying it. Let's see here. If we got any other questions. Mark Brachell said, do you guys always use mono or do you use braid much? Mark, I typically use monofilament almost exclusively when I'm fishing for grouper or amberjack with live bait. When I'm vertical jigging, I'll use braid and a small fluorocarbon leader. When I'm snapper fishing, I'll use braided line with a long monofilament top shot or fluorocarbon top shot and a fluorocarbon leader. So I use monofilament a lot, mostly offshore, but I do use braided line occasionally when I'm looking for a lot of sensitivity, especially vertical jigging or slow pitch jigging. But most of the time, I use a braided line. I'm using a really long top shot to give it shock absorption and to make sure I prevent tangles. Mark Burchell, there's a huge section on our fishing tips page on the hubbardsmarina.com website. You can go to fishing trips and go to fishing tips, and there's a ton of information on where you can learn a lot more about braided line and top shots, etc. Cody Sorrell said, let's talk deep drop tips, rigs, equipment, depth. Well, typically on a deep drop trip, we're fishing anywhere from about 300 to about 900 to 1,000 foot of water. And typically we're using drop rigs, which is a weight on the bottom, a longer leader, and then leaders coming off that main line. Typically 80-pound braided line with a 100-pound top shot of monofilament, and then 100 to 125 pound leader, typically anywhere from about a 1 pound to 3 pound weight, sash weight on the bottom of that drop rig, sometimes lighter depending on the depth. And then we'll use strips of squid for bait out there in the deep water. Strips of bonita work really well. That mackerel works really well. Mullet works really well. All that great bait offshore deep dropping. Barracuda works really well. And then when we're queen snapper fishing, we'll use, instead of a bunch of rigs coming off an 125 pound leader, typically for queens we're using 60 pound leader and one really long leader coming off that drop rig, like 10, 15, 18 feet of fluorocarbon, 60 pound test. Works very well for those queen snappers. So typically a Daiwa Tanacom is our deep drop reel of choice, Cody. I like putting my deep drop reel on a grouper stick. So that way you can hold that rod and reel while you're fishing. It's a lot of fun, but you can use a bent butt rod and just stick it in the rod holder. That works too. But I like holding the rod when I'm fishing, and that Daiwa Tanacom is a bad to the bone reel. You can still hand crank it if you want, or you can hit the button and let the electric reel do the work for you as well. Captain Martinez said, do you think the red tide is going to make it up to Clearwater? We haven't seen any yet, but I'm nervous. We don't have any red tide in Johns Pass, on Madeira Beach, on Reddington Beach. There's no red tide on our beaches or in our pass. There is red tide off the coast all the way up to Clearwater. So, Cap Martinez, it's been off of Clearwater there for a week or so. So it's already been made it to Clearwater. But it's very spotty off of Madeira Beach, Treasure Island, St. Pete Beach, Reddington Beach. It's not on the beach. It's not in the passes. It's off the coast, but it's very spotty. So hopefully it stays that way, and hopefully this weather pattern keeps them off the beach. It's very, very important for all of us. Let's see if we got any other questions. John Kitson said, is it Scotch on the Rocks? No, that was last week with Will. This is my special herbal tea, Bula. Not Scotch or Jameson. I'm a Jameson guy. I don't like Scotch. That was Will drinking the Scotch last week. I'm a through and through Jameson whiskey kind of guy. I am mostly Irish, the rest pirate. So I do dabble in some rum occasionally, but like the Hulk, you wouldn't like him when he's angry. You wouldn't like me on the rum. I don't think I could accomplish this video drinking rum, but the whiskey I can handle. Let's see here. What other questions do we have besides about my alcoholism? That's why I drink tea and not liquor, unless I have a bad influence like Will on the show. Let's see here. I don't see any other questions. A lot of nice comments there about the whole Key West grunt, white grunt, gray snapper fiasco. I appreciate your comments, guys. I know it's all in good fun, and I know people just kind of poke fun at it, but it is kind of a hot button issue. Gotten a spat over this online the other day, and it's just annoying. I spend a lot of time taking out of my time to do these seminars, do these videos, write these things on our website, and it's all about teaching people how to fish, getting people hooked on fishing. Yes, it's a business, but I would go out fishing and not even touch a rod and watch someone else teach someone else and watch them bend that rod is a lot more fun to me. And that's how you keep going in this industry. Killing fish and filling the fish box is short-sighted. You can't go out there and kill fish and fill a fish box every day. That opportunity to go fish, that kid, watching that kid get hooked on fishing and become the next generation of conservationist and angler, that's what it's all about. And that's what we're all about at Hubbard's Marina. And if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. Thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Unfortunately, didn't have any a lot of funny comments right now. Man. Hopefully you enjoyed the show and you enjoyed the comments as much as I did. I always have a good time doing this, guys. And if I wouldn't have a good time doing it if it wasn't for you guys. You guys make it fun. And I appreciate y'all tuning in. I love the heck out of our Hubbard's Marina family and our fishing friends alike. You guys make it all worth it. So I appreciate your time tonight. I appreciate you watching. Next week, we're going to have a guest on here, even if I have to kidnap one of my captains or crew members to get them on the show. And I appreciate all you guys do for us at Hubbard's Marina. Our staff watching, I know a lot of ladies in the office, our reservationists are watching, and that's pretty cool that they love you guys so much and they love fishing so much, they tune into this video to learn more about fishing to help you guys more. That's how great our office staff is at Hubbard's Marina. We're really, really blessed to have a great team on the boats, in the office, in the wheelhouse, and even a great team on deck, fishing people like you who come out and enjoy it with us. So enough mushy stuff. I'm going to go to bed. I've been up since 4 a.m. and I am tired. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too busy. Hopefully we'll see you this week at Hubbard's Marina. We've got super light loads. Pay attention to your email. Make sure you join that email newsletter on the bottom right-hand corner of our website. We're going to be giving away some serious discounted trips to try to get some more people out here and keep our great team at Hubbard's Marina busy through this slower time of year. And pay attention to that email, and we'll see you next week. Remember, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. Love you, Grandpa.